Welcome to We Like D&D, the show where we talk about our favorite hobby, D&D, and TTRPGs in variety show style segments. We've got some familiar ones today, as well as a new one that we're calling Leomund's Tiny Huddle. I'm Kelly from the YouTube channel Power Word Spill, and I'm joined by one of my best friends and DM-spirations, Alec.
Hey.
Alec, would you like to roll for introduction?
Sure. It's a 12, which is probably my average introduction. Just name, a little bit about my career, and then an invitation for the other person to share.
Oh, I do. I spend the whole rest of the conversation talking about myself, and I ask you 2 follow-up questions.
You know what? Gold star for me. I love
Pretty
that.
good. We're also joined by fellow player and my long-term roommate / wife, Loren.
Hi, I'm also here.
Loren, would you like to roll for introduction?
You bet. That's a 5. I probably say my name, but not like clearly enough. So they think it's Lauren. And then I'm just a little too awkward to correct them. So I just go by Lauren for the rest of the evening.
All right. Well, welcome to the team, Lauren.
Oh no, this is my life for the next 2 years. Until I shame quit this job.
Yeah.
Our first segment, as always, is Show and Tell. We've each brought in 2 TTRPG-related items that caught our eyes, one to share now and one to share over on our bonus episode, which you can check out at patreon.com/powerwordspill or via Spotify subscription.
That's new, by the way.
That is new. Brand new.
All right, who's up?
I'll pitch first.
Okay.
I've got a free program that makes your collection of PDF TTRPG books way more usable. Or
Interesting.
one of the most popular adventures on DM's Guild.
I love a free program.
All right.
And I love organization.
Well,
Rock, paper, scissors?
No, it's the same thing, isn't it?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We just love it for different reasons.
You know what? That's what makes us great. You can love it for a lot of different reasons.
Is this somehow tied to the lazy DM return?
Let me tell you about this book, you guys.
Kelly's
No.
getting a kickback.
What I brought today is a program called Doc Goblin.
Gobbling these docs.
Now I love it for a third reason.
All right. Well, not like that.
Kelly is so red in the face, audio listeners.
It's like a little goblin for your PDFs. Okay, I'm not making it better. This is a program that has a free version that I think is totally usable, and most people will be fine with the free version, but it also has a paid license version if you want to support it, and also if you want a couple of extra features. What this is a program that makes all of your PDFs searchable at once. So you tell it a folder, you direct the program to a folder at a library. So if you keep all your TTRPG PDFs in one place, you add the library, and then you can put in any search term and it searches all the documents instantly and returns any result.
That is incredible, not just for D&D.
Yeah.
Yes, it is also like not just for TTRPGs. I think they actually made the program not, well, I don't know.
It's called Goblin.
It's called Doc Goblin.
Goblin these dogs. What's it called? Dog Goblin.
And the symbol, the icon is a goblin, but it is an incredible program for so many other features, use cases as well. But being able to search, like, for example, challenge 5 in the search, and you all of a sudden return every challenge 5 monster from all of your books. It's not as smooth as, well, something like D&D Beyond, where there's every monster is tagged with metadata.
Right.
Because obviously it also returns things where in the text it says challenge 5, or in the index of the PDF it says challenge 5. But it is a huge improvement over just manually looking through all of your PDFs.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Because I keep buying PDFs and they all go into this folder, and then, I don't remember what's in any of them. So I don't remember I'm not going to look through every book every time.
Yep.
So just being able to do a global search on the PDFs and have it return anything is super cool.
I have to be honest, I love it. I love it for the non-D&D use more.
Yeah, it is very cool and useful in a number of contexts as well. If you have a lot of ebooks, like just regular ebooks, especially nonfiction or research type books, but this is a TTRPG podcast, so we're talking about it in TTRPG context. The creator reached out to me by email and just shared their program with me, and it is really cool. And the free version allows you to add one library. So, I mean, if you're just using it for one purpose, you can add one folder and it automatically catalogs all the subfolders. It's all on device, local, just good old fashioned algorithms, no AI bullshit, no cloud, whatever. It's a good old piece of software that you install on your computer and it just exists on your computer. You buy a license with a one-time fee, just like the good old days.
Those were the good old days.
Doc Goblin was made by Julian, who goes by the tag Dev Goblin, which is
nice.
Very fun.
Love it.
So yeah, that's Doc Goblin. If you have PDFs, you can just download it for free. Don't need to do anything. It indexes everything. Searchable. There's all kinds of filters you can add. Extremely useful, extremely practical. I'm very excited to use it more.
Me too. Kelly, that's an A+ show and tell item.
Wow.
Tough act to follow. Who's going to go next?
Thank you. A+.
All right, Lauren, what you got?
All right, let me pitch you on a guidebook for adding 34 romanceable NPCs and side quests to your next campaign.
Whoa.
Or
That's too many.
too many options.
That's too many options.
Or a short and cozy Waterdeep adventure about rescuing a kitten that I think I might run for you guys.
Oh, if you're going to run it.
Yeah.
You had me in the first half, but
If you're going to run this,
if you're going to
for us,
run this, yeah.
Okay, so my adventure that I brought is called Waterdeep Kitten Rescue by Michelle Churchill.
Oh.
Cute.
It's a cozy adventure that ticks every box that I'm looking for in like a little adventure. It has a little bit of city mystery to it, but the basis of it is adorable animals. So basically, your party is in Waterdeep, and they're stopped by the Yawning Portal, as you do when you're in Waterdeep.
Yeah.
One of the patrons there in the setup finds a cat in their room, and they don't know what to do with it. They don't want it, so they bring it down, and they're trying to find someone to deal with it. And they pay you and your party a lot of money to just take this cat off their hands. So now you're in charge of this cat. And it turns out there's a bookstore in Waterdeep that kind of houses stray cats.
Yep.
So you bring the cat there, and then there's a little like encounter where you can help try to find homes for all of these stray cats that are living
Incredible.
there.
That's so
Which
cute.
is very cute, but there is a mystery afoot, and it looks like the kitten that was put in your care that you helped adopt out keeps coming back. And the kitten is some sort of key to figuring out this mystery.
Interesting.
I love a mystery adventure. I think it's the most fun type of adventure to run.
I love a mystery adventure, especially when it's cozy.
Yeah. This is so cool. Where is it available? Is it free? What's the deal? Tell me. I must know.
So it's on DM's Guild.
Cool.
It's only $3. It's less than $3, $2.95. Yep, an absolute steal for what is sure to be, with our group, probably 2 sessions.
With kittens, 3.
Yeah, totally. The entire second session will just be playing with kittens.
I fantasy pet this kitten. I do it again. I do it again.
But yeah, they market it as quote unquote the perfect short adventure
Very cute.
that you can kind of run in between, adventures in whatever an urban setting. It's just like you can run it like maybe if not everybody from your party is there, and you're just like, okay, so you go to the tavern and this happens, and it's like a little in between kind of thing that happens.
Yeah, it's a great kind of rest, low stakes adventure between some high stakes things. If you give your party a reason to take a break, then you could entice them with this.
Can you confirm that it's low stakes?
Yes, there are options for combat, but they can absolutely be avoided. It's very much like a little mystery, very cozy option for slight combat. But yeah, cool. It's pretty low stakes, I would say.
What kind of stuff is included? Is there art and maps, or is it more just a text adventure?
Yeah, I believe there are maps for the bookstore and a secondary location that I should not reveal.
Okay.
There are stat blocks for characters that you can encounter. Nice. There is, I believe, I might take this out.
Portraits here and there?
I believe there might be portraits here and there.
Any
but I could be
cute
wrong.
kitten pictures?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. All right. It's designed to be a single session adventure?
I actually don't know. It's designed to be short. So whether that means one, for us, 100% not one session.
Okay.
Definitely not. I could see it being like, depending on your group, 1 to 3.
Okay. And is it for a specific tier? Like levels, specific levels?
1 to 5.
Tier 1.
Tier 1. Nice. That's awesome. That's my favorite tier to play.
And the most important part for me is that it's very easy for a beginner DM.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
What about it made it seem easy to you?
I think the premise of it is very non-intimidating.
Okay.
Very like approachable, I think, just because they lay out what the objective is right away. And I think because it's sort of like, here's a cat. Like, here's a place that you can go. Now take it away. And now you can do this little mini game where you help like mash all these kittens with their homes. That's something that I feel like players that I play with could just like have a field day with that. And they would do most of the heavy lifting.
For sure.
There are a lot of roll tables in this, which I think is very helpful. And they just lay everything out in a way that makes sense to my brain that I feel like I wouldn't have to do a lot of extra work.
Yeah.
Like, other than like just reading it once or twice, maybe.
Cool. Yeah, and with a mystery, like especially if they do a good job of laying out all the clues and connecting everything, then like as soon as your players buy into the first mystery and start collecting clues, there's not too many opportunities for it to go off the rails.
Yeah.
Like if all the clues are pretty definitive, they lead to a different place, then you should end up on the rails of this adventure.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I can't wait to play it in 12 hours.
We've been recording for a little bit, so 11 and a half.
Okay.
All right. I have got 2 options for you.
Lay it on me.
I have a rules light TTRPG or a supplement to a popular Wizards adventure.
Ooh. I'm really curious about a rules light TTRPG. I'm really interested in exploring more rules light TTRPGs. Not that this is totally rules light, but the 3 of us played the One Ring starter set last night, and we will talk about it next episode. So it's inspired me to learn more about more rules light TTRPGs. So I want that.
Let's do it.
Okay. You're walking in the woods. There's no one around and your phone is dead. Out of the corner of your eye, you spot him. Shia LaBeouf. He gets down on all fours and breaks into a sprint. He's gaining on you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
I have brought in the TTRPG that we've referenced a bunch of times on this podcast.
Excellent.
Actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
It's about time.
I'm really excited to talk about this because I've actually never looked it up, so I actually don't know how it works.
Well, let me tell you, the way we played it is not how it works. Okay. Actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf is a rules light TTRPG system based on the song by Rob Candor, Actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
If you haven't heard it, look it up.
Yeah.
The music video, excellent.
I showed it to my girlfriend yesterday who had never seen it before because I told her I was bringing this to the podcast. And she described it the way she describes things that I show her that she absolutely doesn't like, which is she said, "Wow, that's art." But you know what? It freaking is art.
Yeah. Those paper mache heads.
Yeah. I played the TTRPG before I saw the music video.
The premise, as written by the author, u/Matt ZM on Reddit, is you are one of the unlucky ones. You have been caught up in a deadly struggle with Shia LaBeouf. Band together with other strangers to escape, outwit, and possibly even kill Shia LaBeouf.
Terrifying.
So the rules they're very light. Basically, you have a blood token pool. And so does Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, okay.
And you roll against your blood token pool. So you start with...
Which are like hit points?
Hit points.
Oh, okay.
You start with 5. And the way that skill checks work, when you don't want, as the Shia master, to... you don't want, as the Shia master, to force too many rolls.
Okay.
Because the way it works is you roll a d6, and if you roll... above your current blood token count, it's a fail and you lose a blood token.
Whoa, interesting.
Okay, you're right. We did not play that way.
No. Basically, when I ran, and I think we should take some time to talk about our experience playing actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Definitely.
If that's okay. I basically ran it with like roll a d20 and I set a DC in my head.
Okay.
Or roll a d6 and I set a DC in my head. I think none of you died when we played.
No.
I didn't want anybody to experience character death. But basically, I just took the idea of playing an actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf tabletop game and just kind of made it up as I went.
I don't think we had to do any rolling when you ran it.
You did.
Oh, did we? Yeah. Okay.
But it definitely wasn't a D20 because I don't think any of us
I think it was a
owned
D6.
D20.
It was a D6 for sure. And Shia has like 5 plus 7 times the number of player character blood tokens.
Okay.
As like an insane amount.
Okay.
I think I gave him like 4 plus 1 for every player or something like that.
Okay. So in the official rules, it's a pretty deadly game then.
It's an extremely deadly game.
Okay.
Yeah. And your goal is
He's
to
a
escape.
cannibal.
Yeah. But, well, I know. Very competent.
And yeah, so the goal is to escape Shia or possibly kill him.
Okay.
And I really liked it as an intro idea for TTRPGs for you all.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think made it a really cool way to introduce people to tabletop role-playing games is I set it in our city.
Yeah.
It started out at the school.
Lore about us. We met at school.
And then like, I can't remember everything that happened, but the adventure ended in the local Whole Foods.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I remember asking you, because you set the starting location, and I remember asking you, where are we allowed to go? And you said, anywhere. And I said, you mean like we could go to the airport and get on a plane and go to a different place? And you were like, yep. And I was like, holy shit. I so distinctly remember that moment of being, my mind being blown.
Yeah.
Just being like, the freedom of that is so, liberating. So that was an awesome moment. I will also say the way that you set it up, you didn't explain any of the rules, and I think that was perfect because I think when introducing people that have never played TTRPGs to the concept of TTRPGs, if you start with the rules, it's kind of more like a board game, and then they become confined by the rules.
Yeah.
Whereas really the freedom, and one of the greatest parts of TTRPGs is the freedom to do anything. And so you kind of just told us where we were and asked us what we wanted to do and just started narrating things that we did. And that was a really great introduction because, I wasn't bogged down trying to game any mechanics or like play within the boundaries. It was just whatever you want to do, and you handled all of the rule side of it. So if you're going to run this game for new players, I would definitely recommend taking that approach. Even if you use more of the actual rules, you don't have to tell your players what the rules are.
Totally.
Again, kind of similar to.
Do you want to play right now?
Do you want to play right now? In that it's really rules light, except I like the premise of this because, again, for people that are starting out, there's a clear thing that is pushing the story forward in that doing nothing is not an option. And sometimes if it's too free, then people don't know what to do. Whereas here you can be proactive, but if you are reactive, then things will still be happening.
Totally. One of the things that I find really fun about running this is like when the players successfully do damage to Shia LaBeouf, he like retreats and disappears and then pops up somewhere else.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's always ambush. I remember that.
Yeah, and like coming up with really crazy places for Shia to ambush from. So one time I ran it at the local fairground.
Okay.
And after the players damaged Shia LaBeouf, they were going through like the different carnival stands.
Yeah.
And Shia popped out of a giant teddy bear.
Yeah, I think when you ran it for us, one of the ambushes that I remember was that we went to a gas station to try and find a car. And I think we were doing something, buying something from the store or whatever. And Shia LaBeouf drove a car into the gas station, like crashed through the front door, the window and stuff. And it was just, having that tension at any time and then just having this explosive scene that was like it had a really nice pace to it because there's like all this action and then you do a hit to Shia and then he retreats and then there's kind of tension and calm where you're trying to plan stuff and figure out and making some moves, but it's always this overarching tension of when is he going to pop up. And then you did a great job of making the ambushes really dramatic and explosive. And then again, there's some fighting and then it goes back to calm again. So it has this kind of cyclical energy to it, which is very engaging.
Yeah, and the vibe of it is kind of fun too, because it is very action-packed. It is obviously very nerve-wracking being like, oh God, when is he going to show up again? But also it's like, I'm pretty sure naked Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, for sure. Very silly.
Naked in the Shia LaBeouf in the rules is not necessarily naked, but highly suggested to be.
Okay, yeah. And you did a great job of describing him as very animalistic.
Yeah.
And that also added to it. Just a feral, naked man chasing us down.
Sounds like a Saturday night.
But yeah, that is actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf. I recommend checking out the Reddit post and bringing people into tabletop using a naked, animalistic Shia.
Yeah, extremely low lift, extremely easy to bring to a board game night and just be like, hey, do you guys want to take like 45 minutes and play a game real quick?
But first, I have some art to show you.
Oh.
That's what you tell me.
Sorry. I'm like, you brought art to an audio podcast.
Guess I'll take the opportunity to plug the bonus episode. If you liked hearing us talk about a story from one of our games, we do a segment on the bonus episode called History Check where we talk about our home game. So if that's of interest to you, check it out.
That's right. You can check it out on Patreon at patreon.com/powerwordspill at the $2 tier, the $2 We Like D&D tier, or directly on Spotify. It's available to subscribe there as well.
That segment was brought to you by A Legendary Fight with Shia LaBeouf. A Legendary Fight with Shia LaBeouf. It's a normal Tuesday night for Shia LaBeouf, but blood is draining fast from your stump leg. And our next segment is Pop Culture Character Build. In Pop Culture Character Build, we take a character from popular media and build it in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. This episode, we're working on Mulan. So all three of us have built Mulan in D&D 5e, and we're going to compare and contrast our builds. Who'd like to go first?
May I?
Yeah, please. Make a man of us, Loren.
Whoa. Okay. Should I also give my resume for this? Because I love Mulan.
Yeah.
I'm a big Mulan fan. Well, the resume is short because I've only seen the animated movie. I didn't watch the live action.
Really? That surprises me.
Well, I had a Mulan birthday party when I was 6. Yeah, it was pretty cute.
Did you have to defeat the Hun?
I did, yeah, in order to get the cake, yeah. Yeah. Big Mulan fan. So yes, I'm very excited to go first. Okay. I built a Path of Ancestral Guardian Barbarian Mulan.
Cool.
I liked this one because from something on the Barbarian page, it says something like, barbarians who draw on their ancestral guardians can fight better to protect their people and their allies, which I think really fits her. She is literally traveling with somebody inadvertently sent by her ancestors to protect her, not the one they intended to send, but still.
Yeah.
Starting at level 3, she gets Ancestral Protectors. So while you're raging, the first creature you hit with an attack on your turn becomes the target of the warriors, which hinders its attacks.
Okay.
Which I guess you could argue Mushu does during battle.
Yeah, definitely hinders the...
He's there.
Yeah.
He's definitely there.
Causing distraction.
Yeah. As a barbarian, she gets weapon mastery that comes with extra feats like Vex and Cleave and stuff. So I gave her mastery with a longsword, a dagger, and maybe if you ask your GM nicely, a musket, which you could reflavor as a cannon. I mean, you'd have to make them expensive and like rare, but just to have the little flavor from the movie.
For sure. Absolutely. I also reflavored something as a cannon, so.
Ooh, okay.
I think it's fair game.
I gave her the skill expert feat so that she gets proficiencies and expertise in some things, which I'll talk about later. I was really struggling to find a background that kind of fits, so I settled on the Waterdeepian noble background because I think it was the best one. Like, she doesn't start as a folk hero, which is one I was thinking of, but she becomes one, so I didn't want to start at that point.
Yeah.
But I figured because her father was like a well-known war hero, like in the movie they refer to him like, whoa, you're like the daughter, or not the daughter, you're the son of the Fazu. So I liked the part about maybe being like a family rebel, which I think she is.
Also, their house is like quite nice for a little village.
They do have a nice house, yeah.
They have like a walled garden and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Could be nobility within the village that they live in.
Definitely. And I also just wanted her to have rage because I think there's that part where they're fighting in the mountains and she gets slashed by Shan Yu, and then she, like, the adrenaline, I guess, kind of pushes her through. She's like running through an avalanche. She jumps on a horse. She saves Shang.
Nice.
While she's like cut open. For her race, I went for high elf because I felt like it went hand in hand with the family rebel part. Like feeling like she should be removed from the war and her family doesn't want her to get involved, but she does anyway.
Yeah, totally.
With that, she gets a cantrip, which I was picky about because I don't feel like Mulan is inherently, she's not magical, but I just went with Mage Hand, which I guess you could say is like Mushu helping her move stuff around. For her stats, I went high dex and low wisdom because I feel like she's been pretty sheltered from stuff.
Yeah, totally.
I think she's intelligent, but I don't think she's very like life
streetwise.
Yeah. I was going to make her charisma her dump stat, but honestly, like she has some pretty good performances like in the camp where she like good performance, good deception. Yeah, nobody suspected she wasn't a guy until that doctor ratted her.
Freaking
pesky doctor.
Yeah.
Patient.
Yeah.
Doctor-patient confidentiality. Excuse me.
Also, where did that doctor come from? They were like, go get help. Like, from where? The last thing I have is just her proficiencies. So from her background, she gets proficiency in history and persuasion, which I didn't think was super important, but she does eventually like earn her fellow soldiers' trust and everything and get them to follow her crazy plans, like dressing up as women and scaling the side of a palace. And I gave her proficiency in acrobatics, animal handling for her horse, athletics for soldier training, and then she has expertise in perception.
Cool. Nice.
And that's my Mulan.
Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Again, I'm always surprised. I thought for sure that we would build similar things, but Lauren posted that she was building a barbarian, and I was like, okay, well, didn't even occur to me. So perfect.
Cool.
Well, I got a preview of your build, and your build didn't really occur to me either.
Didn't occur to me at first either. I'll go next then.
What's your resume?
Yeah, tell us your resume.
My Mulan resume is limited. I have watched Mulan probably a couple times over Loren's shoulder as she watched it, and I just did other stuff around the house. But I watched it properly for the first time this week in preparation for this, and it was good. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Eddie Murphy, very funny. Also, I feel like the people who made Shrek saw Mulan and were like, yes, we want you to do exactly that again.
Yeah, but just
that's my donkey.
Yeah. So yeah, very short resume. I liked it. I had a good time. The songs have been stuck in my head for the last 2 days.
Be a man.
Yes.
You must be swift as the...
That's legally as much as you can say. I tried to get him to watch the second movie, but no dice yet.
Yeah.
It was direct to video. So.
Yeah, Loren pitched it as direct to VHS and very bad. So I thought, you know what? I think I'm good.
To be honest, a lot of Disney sequels were direct to video, though.
Yeah.
The Lion King too.
Excellent movie.
Yeah.
All right. So I built Mulan, who I named Newlon.
Okay.
No reaction. Okay. Moving on.
You're saying it with an expression on your face like we should get the joke, but I don't think we have enough context yet.
That was just it's new Mulan.
Yeah.
Okay. That was it. There's nothing else to it.
I got it.
Right, fine. I liked it.
Great job, Kelly. You're doing great, sweetie.
That was just a joke for me, though. I built Newlon Warlock 3 Paladin 2 multi-class.
Ooh.
So I really kind of glommed onto Pact of the Chain in that you get a familiar, you get kind of advanced find familiar, and one of the options you get is a pseudo-dragon, which I thought was very fitting for Mushu. You get this little find familiar and obviously it's a Warlock is a short rest class, so your spells recharge, so you can basically always have this familiar around easily. I thought kind of that you could stretch it in a way that she kind of entered into that kind of her patrons are kind of her ancestors, not in like an evil way, but just that they are providing her power and that she is kind of bound to them in a way that she needs to honor them. So it's kind of like a warlock, but not from an evil patron, from a good patron.
Yeah.
There's you can be a warlock with a celestial.
That's right. Yeah. So I thought she kind of inadvertently in the beginning by praying to the ancestors and lighting the incense in the memorial that she kind of like inadvertently enters into a pact with them. So that's my read on that. And that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
And then because she's, obviously not really magical, I brought in the Paladin multi-class because to get fighting proficiencies. And with Paladin, you can add your charisma to melee weapon damage. So she's a charisma-based character that also gets to add that. So I made her dex, charisma dex based.
Cool.
Fight with a rapier, then you can add your charisma to the damage. It's actually a pretty cool little build because then you also get divine smites as well as the weapon proficiencies. I figured that you could still take Eldritch Blast and then maybe flavor it as rockets. If your DM
Fireworks.
was feeling generous. I mean, like mechanically, there's no downside.
Yeah.
It's a cantrip, so it's it's something you already get. I made her a changeling because
That's cool.
she's hiding, and except I would make it so that the only thing she can change, she takes a general humanoid form, like a human form, but the only thing she can modify is her hair. She can either have it up or down as a changeling. And that makes all the difference, because in the movie when she comes out at the end, she's like just has her hair down, and that's pretty much the only difference. And everyone's like, she's a woman. Oh, wait, that's a ponytail. No, she's a man. That's fine.
It's like one step
Clark
worse.
Kent.
Worse than that. It's just put glasses on like, oh, you're not a superhero.
So yeah, she's a changeling, but all she can change is her hair. But that does make a charisma boost, so that further helps the charisma class. For the background, one of the options that came up as a homebrew option on D&D Beyond was the farmer background, and that gives you proficiency in animal handling for the horse. And then also I took cook's tools for the teapot, and even though she's definitely not proficient with the teapot, I just thought it was a fun nod. And the spells I would take, I would try and probably minimize. I mean, again, this is subtly bringing Mulan inspiration into your D&D character, so you don't have to totally follow that. But, I would try and take more utility spells rather than damage spells, and that you could kind of flavor as that she's helping her friends and allies instead of doing damage through those, other than Eldritch Blast, which are her little rockets. And I already said that, but dex base as well, because she's definitely a dex fighter. I feel like she jumping around, doing all kinds of acrobatics and stuff. So.
I agree.
Climbing poles, wearing armor. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wait, that's athletics. I came up with a really bad example.
Well, maybe yours is strength based, and that's fair. So yeah, that's Mulan. Did it work that time?
Very good, Kelly. Very good.
Pandering.
It's called supporting your friend.
All right, Alec, what you got?
I did know that you guys were getting really creative with your classes. I, at first, was trying to think outside the box. And I think you guys did a really good job of thinking outside the box. So I decided that I was going to try to keep things like pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I really struggled actually to do like a really straightforward Mulan. I considered a bard. I considered a cavalier fighter.
Oh yeah.
But what I ultimately landed on was a monk.
Okay. Yeah. I was looking into monk as well. I feel that very fitting for sure.
Specifically, and this is kind of a faux pas because it has a Japanese word in it, but way of kensei.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that one.
So that's the monk that uses weapons.
Okay.
They get a melee kensei weapon and a ranged kensei weapon.
Okay.
And in the Ballad of Hua Mulan, Mulan is actually already trained in archery and the spear and the sword by her father before she ever goes off to war. And so I thought it was kind of fitting that she would have like these special weapons that she was like quite proficient with.
That's cool.
So I chose the short sword and the short bow.
Nice.
And for proficiencies, I really wanted to take animal handling, but couldn't find a way to get it done because I made her a variant human, which you do get a free proficiency with.
Yep.
But I couldn't find what's a much more important proficiency in my mind to be playing Mulan is deception. And I couldn't find a fitting background that included a deception skill proficiency.
Yeah.
At level 1 with the variant human, I took deception and the actor feat, which increases your charisma and allows you to change your voice and all of this different stuff. And you get advantage on deception checks to pretend to be someone else.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And then at 4th level, I took another feat. I took the Magic Initiate Wizard feat. You have to take three spells. So I took like Comprehend Languages. And then I took, I think it's pronounced Audrey or Augury.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was like praying to her ancestors. And then the most important one, the reason why I took the feat is to get Find Familiar.
Yeah.
And then I would talk to my DM about flavoring it as like a Mushu type or something slightly off-brand, bargain bin Mushu if you're trying to be more subtle about it.
A lizard.
A lizard.
Yeah.
Oh, and then between the background and monk features, I had to pick 2 tool proficiencies.
Oh, yeah.
And I took calligrapher's supplies and weaver's tools.
Yeah.
And I figured that was the best representation I could come to on like the desire from her family to like focus on like kind of the feminine arts.
Totally.
All of that sort of stuff. Yeah, I would role play my Mulan as straightforward as possible in terms of like I would make Mulan masculine presenting, but just posing as a man to get the respect.
Yeah.
And then I think it would be like a really good opportunity for character moments with the rest of the party as like they find out that sort of thing. I also took proficiency in performance because come on.
Yeah. Gotta have those songs.
Yeah. Beautiful performance.
Yeah, for sure.
Lea Salonga.
I didn't realize, I've never looked at the cast of Mulan. I knew Donny Osmond was the singing voice for Shang, but I didn't realize the speaking voice was the doctor from Jurassic Park.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
And then Mulan's speaking voice is Fennec Shand from The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah, I did know that one.
Oh, I didn't. I've never looked at the cast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because Kelly saw the movie for the first time 4 days ago.
In those 4 days, I've never looked at the cast.
Anyways, that's my very straightforward, simple Mulan.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I like that a lot. And going back to the background thing, I think that's, a great thing to homebrew because like if you want to dip your toes into homebrewing, there's no stakes there. It's, just make a background with your DM that allows you to take the proficiencies that you want to take. There's really the opportunities for making a game-breaking thing is like zero. So there's, just do whatever you want with the background for sure. If you wanna chat with your DM about starting to bring in some homebrew elements, that's a really safe one to start with.
Yeah, because there's already a formula.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Balanced.
Exactly. Very cool. Well, again, 3 different Mulans, 3 different subtle Mulans, 3 different fun options to play, and we're gonna make an adventure out of Mulan's story over on the bonus episode, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Heck yeah.
That segment was brought to you by New Lawn. New Lawn. This joke is bound to get funnier if I say it enough times.
The Steve Martin method.
Any reaction that time? No? Okay.
Audio listeners, I'm giving Kelly a thumbs down.
That segment was brought to you by New Lawn, and her companion, New Shoe.
Damn it. Now it's time for a segment we're calling Leomund's Tiny Huddle, where we are going to put our heads together and come up with something for your campaign. We're starting with locations, but maybe eventually we'll do villains or combat encounters or all sorts of things. We just want to help build stuff for your campaigns. Thank you so much to everyone who commented on the community post on YouTube. There are so many great suggestions in there. We had a hard time picking them out, but we ended up picking the one from moeyobro. I hope I'm saying your name correctly there. It's a tavern/gambling den. The campaign hook is political intrigue turns to dark magic and a global threat.
Ooh.
The tone of the campaign is gritty, and something that the location has to have is corrupt politicians. I'm very excited to talk about this. What I hope to end up with is a solid location description, maybe 3 NPCs, and then some adventure hooks, puzzles, and other things that you could slot into this location. And then hopefully at the end of this, you can take all this inspiration and just drop this location right into your world. Or maybe it won't fit with your world at all because we completely went in a different direction. But hopefully either way, you'll be able to take some inspiration from it.
One of those scenarios is more likely.
I'll be honest, it was very difficult not to take this in a silly direction because that's how I lean, I think.
Okay.
So I had to keep thinking gritty, gritty, gritty. And when I think gritty, I think The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
Obviously.
that's a good gritty reference for sure. Yeah, I definitely tried to keep it gritty as well. I wasn't sure how much magic was involved in this world, but I do like magic things because I think they make a location seem more fantastic. So I did add quite a few magic elements throughout. I guess the first place to start is, did you guys build a tavern or a gambling den?
I built both.
Okay.
Essentially what I built was like a bar with a speakeasy.
Okay. I also went for a speakeasy.
Okay.
I also went for a speakeasy.
Great. Okay, guys, we're off to a great start.
Such a great start. I didn't have a tavern upstairs. I put a robes shop and tailor upstairs because my thinking was that somewhere where nobles would be able to go, but if it was also like a fancy tavern, then that would work as well.
I wanted it to be in the back of a theater.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
Same idea.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, well, combining those, it could be like a dinner theater tavern, a tavern that does dinner theater.
Is that gritty though?
Drag brunch.
Yeah. Sold. I'm there.
But yeah, maybe some kind of tavern upstairs that has a stage and like does performances. I feel like I've seen that in Westerns, right? Is that like a saloon that has like performances in it?
Oh, surely.
Although a speakeasy being behind a bar is also not very speakeasy coded.
Yeah, not like a speakeasy, I guess, more like a secret gambling den.
That's what I had built. I built like a bar that had a gambling den. So like a bar that it was like a skinny building. And then the gambling den was underneath and it was like much bigger than the upstairs.
I also built something that was larger downstairs than upstairs.
I like the idea of having a larger downstairs than upstairs because the downstairs portion could be the basements underneath highfalutin shops that are owned by the politicians.
That's good.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so they can also access the secret pub from their own places of business.
Very interesting. So yeah, why don't we say it's all three? There's a theater, a robe shop, and a high-class tavern up above on the top level, and then they're all connected to a sort of secret gambling den beneath. You can go into any of them, and you end up in the gambling den.
Cool.
I like the idea. This is a little early to be throwing out name ideas, but I like the idea that like the above saloon or pub or whatever we're calling it has a name that is like a reference to like purity.
Interesting.
Like, I don't know, like the Ivory Lotus or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like lotuses come out of like muddy water, like unstained.
Ivory Lotus. Yeah, absolutely.
No relation to the show, right?
That's why I went for ivory instead of white, because they took my freaking idea.
Damn them.
Yeah, Ivory Lotus is very good for which? The tavern, the theater, or the robe shop?
The tavern.
The tavern, yeah. And the theater is kind of like what kind of theater? Like where you put on plays and things like that?
Yeah, or like opera.
Oh, yeah. That's very fancy for sure.
I like the idea that these are like pretty reputable businesses by
totally.
by reputation.
I think it could just be called like the auditorium or something like that, where it's so bougie that they don't have to come up with a name and call it what it is.
Well, for that reason, the robe shop could just be called Silk.
Oh, yes, Silk.
That's
yes,
very
that's
fancy.
Perfect. Yeah. All right, so moving downstairs, what's the kind of signal for if each of us had a thing we can say for our own shop, what that signal would be?
I didn't have anything specifically written down. I guess when I was imagining that it was a tavern, I figured there would just be like a menu item that you could order that didn't exist in real life. And then they would direct you to an unmarked door that was next to like a supply closet, and then it would lead downstairs.
Cool. I like in the, is it in Casino Royale? Yeah, it must be Casino Royale where they end the poker games at the end.
Yeah.
Where I think the invitation is is he gets the chips. And that's like tells him that he's invited. So I was thinking that I was imagining these kind of credit card sized dark oak slabs that have Roman numerals painted on them that are the chips that determine like different values. And they are distinct. And if you get one of those chips, you're like invited to this secret gambling club. And so that could be a kind of a clue for the players out in the world. If they see one of these distinctive chips or they come across one, then they could research where it's from, and that could lead them to this secret gambling den.
I like it.
So I was thinking that basically you could just present a chip to any of these businesses and they would like let you downstairs. So either the proprietor or one of these politicians, or, you know, if you're important enough, you'll receive a chip, basically.
Yeah, you make a big enough donation to the campaign.
Right.
Yeah.
You have the right influence in the town.
Yeah. It's like a super exclusive, you know, politician and rich noble club.
I'm going to pivot because I don't want to have two that are like kind of invite only.
Yeah.
I was thinking that in the theater that you would be invited backstage to meet the cast or meet the singers, and really you just go into the club.
Nice.
That's cool.
But how do you get into a speakeasy through a theater?
Well, it could be like in the green room
Yeah.
if you're going backstage to meet the cast. Just like a stairwell in a green room.
I really like the idea that you actually do have to attend the opera in order to get in through the theater.
Okay.
At the end, it's customary to throw roses
Okay.
onto the stage. And there is like coded flowers. So like if you throw a non-rose, the different flowers correspond to different people that you're trying to make contact with in the speakeasy. So it's like, I'm going to the opera, I'm patronizing the opera house, which is going to profit, you know, one of these politicians, one of these corrupt officials.
Yeah. It's a cool thing. Yeah. I mean, that your players could learn about that through, I mean, someone could tell them various things. They could observe, you know, different flowers being thrown.
Well, I like the idea that if they're trying to get in touch with a specific politician, then at some point they can be told, go to the auditorium, watch the show. When it's
Gotcha.
over,
Yeah.
Yeah.
throw a black rose.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So 3 different ways to get downstairs.
Another option for the robe shop would be asking if they carry a certain fabric that doesn't exist.
Yeah. I was thinking something about like spider silk because you're like in the spider's web, you know, something like that.
King's weave spider silk or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you ask for the spider silk, then they let you downstairs.
It would have to be a place where spider silk isn't normal.
Exactly. Yeah. If spider silk exists in your world, it can't be. So going down into the place, what I kind of imagined was this kind of big circular room underneath
That's cool.
with tables around the outside of the ring, and then in the center there is a sunken fighting pit, like
Oh my
10
God.
feet below.
Fighting pit.
So
That's much grittier than I was.
because I was trying to
imagining.
think of grittier, so I was just thinking basically like you can gamble at the tables, but then there's also just like they lure in peasants to just fight to the death in the middle of this thing with no weapons.
I like it.
So it's just like this kind of juxtaposition of these rich politicians
Yeah.
and nobles conducting this business, but then there's just 2 people that are, you know, desperate and poor, just like killing each other in the background, which would be quite stark. I was coming at this from the angle that these people are all evil.
That's a fair assumption.
But then Alex's point about bringing it up about like that the players could be seeking out a specific politician didn't necessarily occur to me that they might be trying to like work with the politicians. So the ones that I made were pretty evil.
Well, I think that if there's going to be a location where you can find the corrupt politician, it's going to be because they're making themselves available. You have to be... Corruption is like a collaborative process,
Yes,
right?
for sure. So yeah, what are some features that you guys, how does that jive with what you guys kind of thought of and pictured in the main?
Yeah, that works with mine. I imagine there also being a bar downstairs that
totally.
has much more offerings than the bar upstairs.
For sure. And maybe something illegal too. Depends on what's illegal in your world. But I was thinking like, whatever.
Like drugs and stuff.
Drugs or alcohol or whatever, fantasy stuff. You could come up with something that is illegal.
Yeah, hallucinogenic drinks and stuff.
What about like a drug that gives people minor magical powers? Like it's for people who aren't magical.
That's
maybe
cool.
something that maybe it specifically gives you like divination.
Yeah.
I like the idea that they're like eye drops that you put in, and it allows you to scry on people
Oh,
Whoa.
interesting.
for like very limited amounts of time. It is very expensive.
Yeah, that's very cool. Like maybe it's just like, when you put in eye drops and you're blinking, maybe it's just like for that moment where you blink, each time you blink, you see like a flash from a scry sensor near them.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Call it like third eye.
Ooh, very
That's good.
good. I also pictured that each table has private sanctum cast on it. So it's like
Yeah.
essentially like a sound bubble. So anything, each table, there's no sound coming in from the outside for two reasons, for obvious reasons that you can have discreet conversations. And the second reason is that, again, having this like brutal fight that is, there's no sound to
Yeah.
it would be also very poignant.
I like the idea that like all of the politicians and criminals that are of import, they have like private booths, right?
Yeah.
That they sit at.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that those booths are the ones that are directly in front of the fighting pits.
Yeah,
So they get to like
the best view.
Yeah. I just actually The Dark Knight, when he goes and meets with like Falcone, he's got like the private booth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's like a circular pit, like I love rounded booths.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they're very, I don't know, they're like kind of decadent.
Yeah, they really are.
This is where I think my idea will diverge drastically from your ideas.
Okay.
Went down a rabbit hole of thinking of, well, what do these politicians want in this scenario? I'm assuming that they want money and that it's greed based in this world, and that this is kind of like a place that you can come to let other rich people know that you're kind of open for business, basically. Like your influence can be bought. So that I guess in what I was imagining, they weren't necessarily the owners because the proprietor is someone specific. But I was thinking of like in our world, I've never done it, but you pay a bribe and there's not much recourse if the person doesn't do it other than that you could like publicly out them, I guess.
Right.
But in a magical world, I was thinking that at each table, if you cash out the chips, you are like magically bound to fulfill any promise or agreement that you made at the table. So to pay a bribe, you like intentionally lose a hand of cards or something to someone, and you state what you're looking for from that person. And it's kind of like discreet in that you're not actually outright paying them. You're like intentionally losing money to them to pay them. But any agreements at the table, as soon as that person cashes out with those chips, they are magically bound. And they are magically bound in a way that, again, this is where I know my idea will take a steep divergence. So I'm looking forward to bringing it back in line with the rest of yours. That the proprietor is a devil in shapeshifted form. And essentially, you're inadvertently making pacts with this devil if you make an agreement at a table. So if the politicians don't follow through, they are driven by greed, but they're also magically bound to it. And so if they don't follow through, something happens like they lose control of their bodies for an hour a day or something. And this devil is trying to accumulate more power by using these corrupt politicians. So it's definitely a big divergence from, I assume, where you guys went with this.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting idea. I don't love it for one reason.
Okay.
It takes some of the power and agency for the corruption out of the politicians' hands in a sort of way, where like people who are corrupted are corrupted based on a series of choices they've made.
For sure.
And like adding a magical pact to them almost makes me feel like
you're giving them a way out, justifying.
Could I pitch?
Please.
That is a process that new people have to go through in order to get access to the powerful, corrupted people and officials, is that they do have to go through some sort of vetting process. And that involves unintentionally making pacts with this devil.
But we also don't have to stick to that as well, because it definitely steers it in a specific direction.
I was thinking people have to have a motivation for being corrupt, right? I was thinking that it's like a democratic society, but one where the cards are already kind of dealt in most cases, or like it's like a foregone conclusion. It's whoever is able to inject the most money into their campaign basically wins.
Okay, yeah.
And so people are accepting bribes. Their influence is purchasable, in exchange for campaign donations, and in exchange for one other thing I was thinking, similar lines to you but different, is that one plot hook could be that these particular politicians are working towards performing a huge ritual that will like enchant the town or the city or the barony or whatever into either voting for them or becoming subservient to them, like that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Where it's like a real power grab, power over the people. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. What were your thoughts, Lauren?
Much smaller. much smaller. I was building things in a way that didn't have the entire thing run by multiple corrupt politicians. I was building it in I guess they are still kind of in charge there, but it was like one or two politicians in whatever like the political system is in this place, like a Senate, say, are the ones that kind of like have dirt on like every other senator or something. And so they're looking for ways to build their own power and bringing other people into that.
Yeah.
I really like that because, multiple corrupted officials wouldn't just be hanging out together
right
by nature of being corrupt. Like there would be some sort of, you don't want to just be like, hey, I can be bought. You can be bought?
Yeah.
Sick, we're homies.
Yeah.
You would want it to be based on like a long-standing alliance or pact or something like that.
I was thinking that basically the way I was envisioning it was run by a proprietor who is not a politician. And basically they've just provided like the ultimate safe space to do business. It's like so exclusive and seemingly very safe in that there's these private sanctums cast. So you're like the business you're conducting is private.
In the 7th Harry Potter book, when they're breaking into Gringotts and they go underneath a waterfall and it like removes the transfiguration and Polyjuice potion.
Yeah.
Along the lines of that, because like I was saying, like politicians who are corrupt aren't necessarily going to out themselves to other corrupt politicians.
Yeah.
What if upon entry from all three entrances, you walk underneath like a stream and it does the opposite. It disguises you into a random other person, and you have to like prearrange things so that you can meet the person you want to meet, if that makes sense. So that there is a level of protection for the officials, so they're not just getting outed by...
Right. Kind of like in Squid Game, where all those rich people have those like animal masks on.
Yeah.
I like that idea that you are disguised. However, maybe it's like kind of combining your flower idea. When you go to cash in at the chip window, you tell the teller what you are trying to do, and the teller seats you at a table with someone that can make that happen, but you don't necessarily know who that is. So that the idea is that then like, because if you have to prearrange stuff outside, then it's kind of like,
what's the point?
Taking away the anonymity. But like maybe you go to the window and you're like, I'm trying to get my house built in a whatever. I want a rezoning application to go through, whatever it is you're trying to do. And then the teller seats you at an appropriate table with the appropriate chips or something like that.
That would require a huge level of trust in the proprietor, but I don't mind that.
I think it's like an exchange where the politicians get this anonymity from the public, but they, maybe they don't have to reveal their identity to the teller necessarily, but just like kind of like their area of expertise or something like that, area of influence. I like the idea of something making it anonymous. Perhaps I'm just trying to think of something that, instead of like a stream or something like that, perhaps something that's like a bit more fitting for those businesses or this this kind of gambling den.
I think weaving all those three of those ideas together, we have a group of aligned politicians. It's like kind of like a secret society. And they have opened the bar with the help of like a devil.
Yeah, we don't even have to include the devil aspect. I think I would be more inclined for the politicians to not be running the speakeasy, I think.
The other thing though is like, you go see a politician, you're going to their seat. It's their throne. It's their place of power. It's where they're protected. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Depending on how your world goes, you could take either one.
Yeah.
I guess probably why I'm thinking more is that I think the proprietor, I would make them kind of like a master of whispers. Like they have grates under each table. So even though it's a private sanctum, like they can eavesdrop on any conversation, and like they are collecting dirt on everyone as insurance that if anyone comes at them, like they have like blackmail on anyone from their establishment.
Yeah, I like that.
So it's like they've created this seemingly safe place where the politicians feel safe to do business, but at the same time, they're protecting themselves by getting dirt. And that would also allow you, if your players need to get dirt on a politician, they could confront this proprietor, figure out what they want, and then maybe potentially get information on a different politician or something like that. Just trying to get like plot hooks into this location, or different ways that your players could use this location. The other way, if the politicians are the owners, you could certainly, I guess, be finding out who they are and, corner one of them. Although I'm just trying to think of a reason why you'd be going to this location, I guess. Probably to either get some information. You either need something from a politician, so you want to bribe someone. You want to find out who the corrupt politicians are and like whatever, dispose of them, or you need blackmail on a politician, so you want to prove that they are dirty by maybe recording them or witnessing them engage in bribery and corruption. Just trying to think of reasons that you would go to this location.
To save people who are being forced into a fighting ring.
Yeah. And then that's another potential one for sure.
Yeah, that's an interesting plot hook, is like the town's down and out. People are starting to have been disappearing consistently. Yeah. Because they're the lowest of the low. Like nobody really cares, but there's some NPC that really does care and reaches out to the party.
Yeah, totally.
Let me pitch you on something from Riverdale. Do you remember the show Riverdale? So in one of the seasons, spoilers, I guess, for Riverdale, Archie goes to juvie. Okay. And there is some sort of path from the jail into this like underground fighting ring where they're making these inmates fight. Okay. And so Archie's friends have to like break into the jail essentially and like help him escape because they fight to the death, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Which issue of the Archie comics is that from?
It's a great question. I think it's Archie and Friends 236.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, it went really dark for like 1 year or so.
Yeah, I forgot that book. Yeah. Yep. Definitely a good way in. That was kind of one of the NPCs that I was thinking could be fleshed out as one of the people in the fighting ring, because that's someone that could be rescued. Depending on how you act, if you are already in this place, your players may want to rescue this person or figure out like how they got there, how they got lured in.
Anyway, where I was going with that, I guess, is like some sort of corruption between like the fantasy police and the politicians.
Oh yeah, totally.
Well, I mean,
it could be either.
The police, I know of some towns where the police are in the mayor's pocket for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the mayor's in the police's pocket.
Absolutely.
There's a number of different options there. I was also thinking, Although I guess this is more specific to the infernal angle, but either way, there's a door that kind of leads downstairs to, there's another floor underneath this area where they keep like the vault with the money, and then as well prisoners are kept there. There's like a small prison section, and then there's also like areas under each table where you can eavesdrop. So depending on, again, on what your players are trying to do, if they want to like come in ahead of time and then scope out someone, they could get through the door and then get down underneath and eavesdrop on a potential conversation there as well. The puzzle I had in mind for the door is very devil coded, so it doesn't work if you don't have a devil proprietor.
666.
Yeah, that's right. Very simple. Lord of the Rings inspired. The door has an inscription in it in Infernal, and the inscription says, "Words have power" in Infernal, and if you speak open in Infernal, it will open.
That's cool.
I like.
But it could be another like gambling den related puzzle as well. Or you could just pick a different language that is not infernal, but is important to the proprietor or to the politician.
Yeah.
And obscure.
And obscure. And that way, because I was thinking like the message of like, your words have power is kind of in the theme of deals being made and bribes happening and agreements. So it could be an interesting little puzzle to throw out there.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Do you guys have any sort of puzzles or other areas that you envisioned in this place?
I had a dice game that I brought, like a gambling dice game.
Oh, nice.
It's adapted from a game that I looked up online. It's called Sevens. So I guess you could just change that to whatever fits in your world.
Okay.
You need 66. And so whoever is playing, you bet into the middle. And I assume there would just be like a set amount, like for the table, like a table. I've never been to Vegas. I don't know what that's called.
A buy-in?
Sure. Yeah. The first player rolls 6 dice, all 6 dice, and removes any combination of numbers that add up to 7. And then the goal is to score the highest possible total by adding up the numbers on your remaining dice.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So after the first roll, you take any dice that like 3, 4, you take that out, like 2, 5, you take that out and set them aside. And those can't be rolled again for that player's turn. And you add the numbers on the remaining dice to calculate their score. If the player is unhappy with that score, they can roll again. But any additional combinations that total 7 also like come out. So like you're kind of gambling with your own And the first player in that round has the option to roll up to 3 times. But every time you roll again, you have to like increase the pot for every additional roll that you're making. And then every player that goes after that first player has the same amount of tries.
Okay. Interesting. Oh, that's a fun little dice game.
Yeah, I think I'm explaining it kind of more complicated than it needs to be. But basically, you're just trying to, you're rolling 6 dice, you're trying to get the highest score, removing anything that adds up to 7.
That totally makes sense. And you can choose, combinations that allow you to maybe leave more dice in the pool, which is cool. So if you can you could theoretically have a thing where you removed like 3 dice, but.
Oh, could you? I thought it was pairs only.
No, it's not pairs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see exactly what you're saying.
I don't know if the math actually works there, but I think it does. Anyways, that's a cool game. I like that a lot. If you decide to do that, you are intentionally losing bets to politicians, and that's a great game to put in there. Or either way, I mean, it's a gambling den. You have to have a card game of some variety.
Yeah. Well, if you're curious about it and you didn't like my explanation, look up the dice game Sevens.
Sevens. Okay. Very cool. Any other sort of little elements that you guys had thought of?
Yeah, I was thinking of encounters that could happen when the party's there. So I was thinking that 2 rival enforcers could get into a scrap and involve the party.
Yep.
I was thinking that if they were trying to get access to a politician, then the bodyguards would really like bust their balls and try to intimidate them away. Yeah. I was thinking that there could be if they're going there in the open, like they're not sneaking in, they could be summoned to somebody else's table with an offer to do some dirty work for like extensive pay.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it could be, I like the idea that they're offered a lot of money to do something that's like probably pretty easily in their wheelhouse and like not that bad. It's like it's a big payday and I'm like really not compromising my morals that much.
For the first step.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's very good.
I like the idea that you were talking about having an NPC be from the fighting pit.
Yeah.
I love the idea that there's like a person in the fighting pit that is like just a little too young to be there.
Yeah.
Like nobody should be there, but like, I mean, come on.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like 14 or something. Yeah.
Well, my first thought was like orphan street children fighting to the death. And I was like, okay, this is too much. Too gritty.
Too gritty, yeah.
Back it off. Yeah, these are just minor details. I was thinking like there'd be like some kind of crystalline circle on the outside of the wall that would be glowing, that would provide like underglow in the thing, so it'd be dimly lit, and then each table would have like a little crystal with the light cantrip cast on it that's just kind of floating above each table.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
it's like dim, kind of colored, spooky lighting, and then just like very intimate.
Can I add to that, though?
Yeah.
It's gotta be full of smoke.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Definitely.
Gotta be full of smoke. And
Yeah.
so there's like these light crystals, and
Yeah.
then there's just like a faint blue glow throughout the entire place from
Totally.
all the pipe weed smoke.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the other thing that I was kind of thinking of is like this would be if the proprietor was a high level caster, but I imagine the proprietor is like this small, slight, elvish looking man with like a pencil mustache and like kind of like 1920s like slick back hair in like in the night, like a fine suit or some fine robes, but kind of like very like slight and accommodating and like bows deeply and respectful, even though he's like maybe potentially pulling a lot of the strings behind the scenes.
Totally.
And part of that being that if there's ever anyone that got rowdy, he would just like quietly go over and whisper in their ear, and then they would calmly leave and never be seen again, in that he's like casting dominate person on them.
Yeah.
And then just like having them leave.
Gaius or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that they just like kind of stand up eerily and then just like walk out of the bar, and then they're never seen again.
He's got an office behind the bar.
Yeah.
And when people aren't going up to the bar, he's often sitting there meeting with different folks.
Oh, yeah.
And in the corner, there's a teleportation circle. And hidden in the walls above the teleportation circles, there's like 30 glyphs of warding that cast fireball
yeah.
For
on
sure.
on the teleportation circle if someone comes through without saying the secret password.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's like
That's an Alex special.
that is an Alex special, but it fits in an easy place.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I love that. Should we talk NPCs?
Yeah. Should we start with the proprietor?
Yeah. We're going with the description that you just gave, right?
Also open to if you have anything.
I love
change
it.
Yeah. I'm imagining him like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Great Gatsby.
Yeah. That's what I was picturing.
Okay,
I
great.
was picturing him like a little older person.
Yeah.
And with darker hair, like black hair, like
Right.
jet black hair.
Okay.
For some reason, the name Hector is, I like the name Hector. Fancy sounding last name.
Harcourt.
Harcourt. Yeah, that's cool. Hector Harcourt. And it's alliterative, so your players will remember it. Hector Harcourt, pencil mustache, fine suits and robes, gelled back hair, high-level spellcaster, or not if that doesn't work in your campaign, but they're at least aware of a lot of things going on, of the goings-on, to protect themselves. Yeah, any other thoughts on some other NPCs?
Well, I had an idea that I don't know. Well, maybe we can workshop it. So when I was initially thinking of the tavern as the front for the speakeasy, I was imagining it being maybe on like the edge of the bad part of town so that people could go in and it wouldn't be suspicious. We fixed that problem by going into like better establishments. I had an idea for a bartender who's like a gruff guy who maybe used to be a mercenary or a sellsword or something. And his nickname is Six because he only has 6 fingers total left on his hands.
That's awesome.
And he just doesn't like to talk about his past. He doesn't really like to talk that much at all. He's kind of just like there. He's obviously getting paid well to be the front of this speakeasy. So yeah, I don't really know how they could fit into this, but I liked the nickname. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. I think that would it's good to have like someone gruff that would dissuade any anyone that's not meant to be there. I was thinking with the teleportation circle thing, Alec, you brought up a good point that, I mean, these places actually don't have to be physically next to each other either. They could be like 3 distinct businesses across town, 3 ways to enter this
I think that makes more sense,
unique
right?
club.
Because if they were right next to each other, why would you sit through an entire opera when you could just go to the bar?
Yeah. And then that gives like 3 different entry points for your players could potentially discover this location depending on what types of things they're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you go into the back and there's someone, the person at each of these businesses casts teleportation circle and provides you with the password that you go in.
And that makes sense too, because between the different sorts of people who might want to access the politicians and the different demographics of people that would be like goons for the politicians, you might want to have a 4th business that's in the seedy part of town.
Yeah.
And that can be run by 6.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've just added a 4th location.
As another little element on that, you could, if the person who's running the business, who's kind of like the bouncer essentially to this club, if they feel like they could send you to a different teleportation circle, if they feel like you're up to no good, or if you're like, what's the thing in The Godfather where you're like excommunicated or whatever, or if you've like done something wrong, you like get sent to a different place. And so all of a sudden the portal opens and it looks a little bit different in there.
And if you were doing a lower magic campaign, you could still use the same idea using a network of tunnels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. So we got 6. We've got Hector Harcourt, the proprietor. Well, I guess we need like a fighter, someone who's trapped in the fighting pits.
Yeah, I like the idea of it being an encounter that you can take or leave, that it is like a too young teenage boy being put into the pits.
Yeah.
I was thinking that if the party steps in and manages to rescue the kid, they could learn a little bit about his story, and he wouldn't have been like a street urchin that was taken off the street, but was instead someone who was trying to get into more of like a stratified life of crime.
Oh, yeah.
And
didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the cut, exactly.
Or did something wrong. Or
Yeah. And was being put basically to the death.
Yeah, for sure.
Via this fighting pit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. Or maybe there was like a test, like a moral test essentially to prove that you had no morals and they refused to do it.
Yeah, and they, could happen to have been trying to work for the politician your party's trying to get dirt on.
Yeah.
And provide some clues in your clue map that way.
Totally. I don't know why the name of Limey is coming to me.
Oh, that's cute.
They don't have to have a last name because they're...
a street urchin.
Well, I like the idea that they're not a street urchin.
Oh, right. That's right.
Right.
They're not a street urchin. Yeah. Well, that could be their nickname then.
Limey, yeah.
Limey.
For some reason, I really want, to me, gritty, grungy.
Yeah.
I want Star Wars names.
Okay.
Bib Phantasma.
Once again, Bib Phantasm. Have you ever seen that meme that's like, if you want to make a Star Wars name, take a compound word that's like a food dish and just like switch the first syllables?
No, I haven't seen
No.
Like De Sakia.
Okay.
De Sakia. Yeah.
That's good. That could be their name.
De
Yeah.
Sakia.
Daisuke.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then to summarize the kind of vibe, it's
Wait,
like
but we don't have any evil politicians.
oh yeah, sorry. We need to make up some evil politicians here. At least one. Definitely at least one high elf for sure. There gotta be a noble born high elf politician that is very just like so proper and posh on the outside and is just like has, absolutely no qualms about watching 2 people violently beat each other to death. Just like doesn't even flinch.
I did have a thought on it because I had made a politician, or actually a pair of people that were in mine. They're a brother-sister pair. Isabel, but spelled Isobel.
Okay.
Isabel and Tobias Finch is what I called them.
Nice.
I think they were elves. I think she is the politician, and then he kind of just like does her dirty work a little bit.
Yeah.
I imagine there's nothing I think more scary and intimidating than like a very calm, put together woman in power who like manipulates people. That's like so scary to me as a villain. Like we've had one of those in a game.
Yeah.
And I think they're very scary, and I don't really know how to handle them. So I think they're good villains.
Yeah. And what do they want?
I think it's probably just more power. I imagine well, when I was imagining them, I imagined maybe their father was a senator or something. And then she kind of filled his spot, maybe. So she's kind of like working her way up. And so she just wants like more dirt on people. She wants she wants to get more power.
You know how like Tom Bombadil was like all powerful, but like in a really small area?
Yeah.
I like the idea of like she's got such a grip on like this quarter of the city, like, or the city, depending on how powerful you want to make her, but like just like an absolute seat of power, but it's not the end game.
Yeah.
It's not the full story.
Yeah.
If you want anything done in this quarter, it has to go through her. She tells, the rest of the politicians under her umbrella, which way they vote. Everything is like no one takes a step without. Yeah, I like that a lot.
And it would be cool if you're a DM that runs downtime, or you have like a long stretching campaign, that if left to her own devices, you do see her slowly gain that power in the background.
Yeah.
And just as like extra flavor, I imagine she did have a husband, but he died in a way that was kind of mysterious and sudden, but nobody can prove that it was murder.
Yeah.
She just did have a husband, and then he just wasn't there anymore. Yeah.
He left town suddenly.
If you want to throw that in.
Yeah. And she, she kind of plays like ever so slightly like the grieving widow. Like she's upset about it. Like, oh, he left me. And like, I'm distraught a little bit.
And like uses that as like a threat.
Yeah.
Is like she'll bring up her beloved departed husband as a reminder that she can make you disappear.
Yeah.
Ooh, I get the tingles. But I don't know if it's because I'm attracted to her or if I'm scared of her.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, it could be both.
Sweet. Well, there's a lot of ideas to pick from in there. Any other?
I just had an idea for one more powerful person in this place, and it's the head of organized crime in the city.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Brushes elbows with the politicians.
Totally.
Definitely. Yeah.
But like, I like the idea that the politicians go out into the world and they put out this like clean image, this pristine front. And then when you go to the bar, like you see that they're really, these bad actors. I like the idea that the head of the criminal underworld in this region of the setting or whatever is like a real gentleman about it.
Yeah.
And like part of the reason why he stays in power is because if someone else filled that vacuum, things would get a lot more brutal.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because even in really gritty settings, there's always do-gooders trying to make the world better, right?
Yeah.
And they probably often fail. But even those do-gooders respect, like, if someone else was in this guy's role, things would even get worse.
Yeah.
And
He has like a code. It's like that he follows. At least there are some rules. It's, not the laws, but it's like their own code of conduct.
Yeah.
And I guess one thing we need to circle back on and just button up would be the mechanic for disguising, I guess, like when you enter the place. But now that we're sort of building, like a teleportation area, maybe there's kind of like a cloakroom where you enter into and they kind of take your coat and then maybe they give you like some kind of like robe or something that disguises you.
If it's like a really powerful place, there's the, I can't remember the name of the item. You had it.
Yeah, it's like a glamour cloak or something.
Yeah.
Oh, glamour armor. Yeah.
Yeah. You get given like a glamour vest and it changes your image.
Yeah.
And you have to give it back before you leave. Obviously.
Yeah, for sure. You like drop off your coat and then like get a glamour robe essentially. And then when you leave, you take the robe off and go into the
And if you manage to escape with the glamour armor, then you find out it doesn't work within the bounds of one of the satellite businesses or the pub itself. Like when you take a shopping cart outside of the lot and the wheels lock up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, and if you are going to do teleportation circles, then definitely just still have a physical way to escape, because if things go poorly, there should still be like some kind of tunnel or ladder or something that goes up to, a sewer lid in the street or something like that. Wow, that was a lot of stuff. I think that was a very long segment, but there's a lot of ideas there for you to mine. I hope, moeyobro, that you can use some of those. I'm interested in using some of those. I think there's a lot of cool stuff in there. Well, I hope that fantasy location is good in your game, or at the very least, you can take pieces of it and let it inspire you to build your own location.
That segment was brought to you by Speakeasies with Secret Passwords. Speakeasies with Secret Passwords. If you don't know, you're not getting in. And if you do know, can you please tell me, because I really want to get in. It sounds really cool in there.
Let me in. Let me in.
Now it's the part of the show where Kelly and Alec battle it out in 2 DMs, 1 player, a silly game that we made up but highly recommend you try at home. Alec and Kelly will each have 3 60-second DM turns to try to get me, the player, to say the secret word. If I say the word during their turn, they get a point, but if they say any part of the word, there's a -2 penalty. And whoever has the most points at the end of the 3 rounds wins.
You ready, Kelly?
I'm ready.
Kelly once again forgot about a strategy for 2 DMs, 1 player.
Classic.
Yeah.
Get lost.
Loren, yeah, get lost.
Kick rocks.
Get out of here.
You're going to hurt my feelings one of these days.
Kick math rocks. Alec, would you like to roll a d20 to see what our word is?
I would love to.
Okay.
It's a 7.
That is cactus.
Okay.
Let's invite Loren back and then roll to see who's going to go first. Please rejoin us.
Yeah, come back. We miss you.
Thank you. I will.
What roll is going first?
Low roll goes first. That's a 2.
That's a 2. Okay. Pretty low.
That's an 11.
Dang it. Okay. All right. I'm going first then. But first, Loren, who is your character? Where are they? And what are they doing?
I'm going to play a gnome artificer named Patricia.
Gnome artificer named Patricia. Okay.
And she is on her way to a concert because her favorite boy band is playing in the city 1 town over from her. Okay. She's really excited to see them. And she hopes she can get a t-shirt from the merch stand.
Okay. I know exactly what your inspiration is, but I won't blow up your spot.
What is it?
The episode of Bob's Burgers where Tina and Louise go and see Boys for Now. But that's where the inspiration ends. So I guess I did blow up your spot because you asked for it. Let's put 60 seconds on the clock. 3, 2, 1, go. Patricia, you are setting out on the road to go and see your favorite boy band. What's the name of this band?
Scabies.
Scabies. Your favorite band, Scabies, is playing in the next town over. But it's quite a treacherous journey. This is not just any quick popping out to the next town to see a concert. This is an adventure. This is a dangerous land, and anytime you step foot outside of your little safe hometown is an adventure.
Yeah, I'm so small too.
Yeah, you are very small. So as you head out on the road, what kind of things are you bringing with you? It's let me set the scene for you. Your town exists in this red sand, a bit of like Arizona type area, landscape, big sheer rocks rising out of the desert. What kind of things are you bringing with you?
I probably have a little backpack with like a water skin and like depending on how long this is going to take me, maybe like a bedroll and like some candles. Probably have like a little journal where I'm writing them. I'm so excited to see these boys.
All right. You say goodbye to your mom. She tells you to be safe.
I say I know.
And you head out. And as you're heading out the door, she says, "Wait, Patricia, will you bring me back some prickly pear?"
Sure.
Awesome. I have been meaning to make jam for like 2 months. Anyways, Safe travels. Love you.
Okay. Yeah. Love you too. Bye.
And you head out.
Okay.
What is a challenge that you encounter on the road?
That's a great question. Oh my God, you're such a good DM. I think I'm probably dodging some bandits, maybe, on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm all by myself after all.
Yeah, you're all by yourself after all.
I couldn't get any of my friends to come with me.
You tried to invite them, but they were all busy. As you're walking down, this is going to be a few day trek, but on the first day, you spot some figures in the distance, kind of the heat shimmering off the road obscures them a little bit, but you think you spot some figures walking towards you, and you duck off the road and find a hiding place. And manage to avoid them. As you do you kind of like wait for them to pass, or do you how long do you wait?
I probably wait a couple hours until I like don't hear them anymore.
Okay.
I'm just hiding in a little hole.
Yeah. You wait a couple hours and let them pass and carry on the first day. But on the second day, disaster strikes.
Disaster strikes. You realize that you have taken a wrong turn.
No, I'm going to miss the concert.
You're going to miss the concert unless you make up ground fast. How are you going to do that?
I guess, I mean, I'm not super athletic, but I'll probably pick up the pace. I'll like jog probably as much as I can.
Pick up the pace. Go ahead and make me a constitution check.
15.
Ooh, you're doing really well for yourself. You are actually hoofing it quite hard. Tell me some of the stuff that you see along the way.
Well, Arizona-like landscape. Let's see. Cacti. Cacti. That's plural.
Yep.
I don't know. Probably some big rocks, little critters.
What kind of little critters?
Scorpions.
Say that again?
Scorpion.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You see some scorpions? Shit.
You see some scorpions along the way, and other little critters and stuff. But as you're traveling, a second disaster strikes. Oh shit! A second disaster strikes that's different from the one that Alex said. You find it's hot midday, the sun is high, sweat dripping down your brow. You've been, you're used to the kind of desert environment, but it's still, midday sun, walking all day. It's hot. You go to take a drink of water from your water skin that you brought. You notice that it's empty. There's a hole in it.
No.
It's drained out as you've been walking.
The worst.
You're really thirsty. You don't think you can make it till you're going to arrive there in a day. How do you go about finding water?
Oh, God, Loren doesn't know how to find water in a desert. Isn't there like in a cactus or something? You can like chop it off and.
You could definitely try that.
Okay, I do that.
Let's see. I mean, no roll necessary to find a
Uh-oh.
Sorry, where do you search for the water?
In a cactus.
Oh, okay. What kind?
What kinds are there?
There's ones that have prickly pears.
Perfect. That one.
Yeah, you go and find a couple. The landscape is so open, you can kind of see for miles and miles. And that's how you're able to identify that you had kind of taken a wrong turn. So you approach some prickly plants. And what's your method?
Well, I guess I don't have any weapons on me or anything, so maybe I can like take a rock and like throw it at the top of the cactus or something and see if it like topples over.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and make me like an improvised weapon attack. 14, that's pretty good.
Pretty good. Stronger than I look.
Yeah, you huck this rock and a piece of it just comes flying off and the juice spurts.
Oh, excellent. I'll go pick it up and see if there's any liquid in there I can drink.
Oh, very good. I really sewered myself there.
By saying the word.
Yeah. Oh, man. I was so proud of myself for this little plan that I devised, and the timing was working out, and I just freaking blew it. But you had already gotten a point well ahead of me. By
I got 2.
for
She said cacti. Is it cacti?
Yeah, definitely. So I think you won 3 to -1.
I think I got 4 to -1,
4 to
but I'm not sure.
-1. Oh my gosh.
I lost count. I just started rubbing my hands together.
I was just winning so much I lost count. Dang it. That was going so well.
Did she make it to the show?
You tell me.
Yes, but she's really dirty. But luckily there are shirts left over by the time she gets there, so she can put on a new one and she doesn't smell bad.
Well,
nice.
scabies are kind of like, they're kind of hipster, they're kind of alternative, and you kind of fit in with the rest of the crowd anyways.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of people that do the thing like with that band Fish where they just follow them around.
Yeah, so they're already pretty dirty
You're
from
right.
having to follow this band around for months on end.
Perfect.
Or the Grateful Dead.
Right.
The Grateful Dead,
Yeah.
Deadheads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, Good job, everyone, except for me. I did a bad job.
Yeah, you can stay though.
I tried to make a false with scorpions.
I know, I saw that, and then I didn't. I just decided not to keep that going.
And Loren probably would have thought it was scorpions if you didn't go cact.
Yeah. Yeah, I realized mid-word, and then I realized then I stopped saying it, and then I realized a split second later that I should not have stopped saying it. I kept saying it, but at that point it was too late.
Cact.
And that's our show. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed, we have a bonus episode on both our Patreon and Spotify feeds if you're a subscriber. Big shout out to 2 commenters, Erica and Cole, and also for leaving word suggestions. We will incorporate those into our table. If you enjoyed the show, we would really appreciate it if you left a review. And above all, we have really enjoyed making this podcast. And if you have it in your heart, please do leave us a review with some feedback, some constructive criticism. We really enjoy making it. We want to make sure it's something that you enjoy listening to. And we really want to keep making it. We appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
Bye.
That segment was brought to you by Free Software. Free Software. So I keep making myself laugh, and then I can't say my stupid little thing.
Is it a penis joke?